Hello, my name is Andy Rudkin and I'm one of the partners in the dispute resolution team at Else Solicitors. Over the last couple of weeks I've had a number of inquiries from my clients in respect of the court process given the pandemic, and what I thought might be quite useful is to just put forward those questions and answers. So in terms of the court system generally, the answer to that question as to whether it's open is a resounding yes, whilst the court buildings themselves are closed to attendance by hearing and the general public. The judges remain in situ and the support staff are as well, making sure that the system itself continues. I'm sure a number of people will have seen the recent Coronavirus Act, which has brought into play a couple of specific items that are now precluded from being undertaken, notably of course forfeiture of business tenancies for non-payment of rent. That's been stopped temporarily, and also the inability now to pursue possession proceedings for private residential tenants. That's been stayed for a period of 3 months, but otherwise, alongside the issue of that legislation, there's been a number of key items identified by the courts and put forward in the court rules by which all ongoing court proceedings are governed in England and Wales, which have been extremely helpful and in fact have, I think, helped to make sure that the court system itself is ready to move into the future. Specifically, we've seen a tendency towards Skype or telephone hearings for matters that are ongoing. That's an issue that's probably been needed to be dealt with for a number of years by the courts, in fact, both in terms of reducing the costs and time associated with hearings themselves. But the new practice direction has been very clear, and the judiciary have been very keen to bring that into play, and that seems to be working very well. So whilst there's still a tendency for the court to look at those matters which are most urgent, which was always the case in any event, there has been a situation now where there are ability for parties to all dial into conferences on telephone or by means such as Skype to undertake those hearings. There are some parameters which need to be dealt with, including the fact that the hearings of course need to be recorded in an appropriate manner so that a transcript of the hearing or inquiry can be made in due course, or of course that attendance by the public in open court matters can be completed. But by and large that process has run quite smoothly, and judges and the judiciary generally have embraced the need for the court system to continue working. So we've been in a number of court hearings recently where they've been conducted by telephone or conference and have been undertaken to a very good standard. The outcomes are the same situation, the only difference being of course that the parties are not actually in attendance in the court. Alongside that, we've seen some other positive amendments to the court rules, such as the ability for the parties on both sides of a matter to now agree an extension of time up to 56 days. That was previously 28 days, and obviously during the pandemic that's caused a number of issues for ongoing cases. So the extension of time there has been a positive impact again on the court system. But generally, as I say, the court system is well and truly open for business. They've embraced new technology to make sure that cases continue to run, and I think have set themselves up well for future matters in terms of attendance by conference and Skype facilities. So turning now to the question of whether or not it's possible to issue new court proceedings during the pandemic, then again the answer to that is very much yes. There are a number of facilities available to us in terms of issuing claims which have been in place for a couple of years in fact. So in the High Court we use online filing system now, which has always been a positive and continues to work very well. And there is of course the ability to use money claims online for certain cases, but generically there is no issue in terms of pursuing new court matters. As I said earlier, the court system very much remains open, and the staff are still in place to issue the claims. It's undoubtedly going to be the case that there will be the odd delay in certain matters, but certainly in terms of matters away from those set out in the Coronavirus Act, which have been ceased from taking place for a short period of time, it is perfectly possible to issue all manner of claims using a number of methods that we've got and always have had available in order to do so. In addition to those facilities, of course, I spoke earlier about the new court rules on the extension of time for court directions. That's a positive that we've been able to implement. So agreeing with the other side that during the pandemic there are certain issues which just can't be addressed or can't be dealt with, but there's now an ability to extend the time frame by 2 months, which again is a huge positive, and is helping to reduce the number of applications that I think are going to need to be made to the court seeking relief from an inability to undertake works. Hopefully during that time frame we'll be out of this lockdown and we'll be able to proceed further, or a sensible approach is being taken by the courts and the judges in terms of the orders that are being made and what time frames have been put in place for when all of this ends, and we can make sure that then the court system is brought up to speed, brought up to date, and the cases continue in a commercial manner. Of course, in England and Wales we're all governed by the overriding objectives of the court procedure, which are that cases have to be dealt with proportionately and as commercially as possible, and that remains at the forefront of course, all of our minds. It's in the interest of all the parties to make sure that cases are dealt with commercially as quickly as possible and without an unnecessary expense being incurred. So all in all, we've seen a situation whereby yes, there's been the odd case that has been delayed slightly, but predominantly matters continue as they always have been. So I appreciate that's very much a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the new court rules and where we're up to in terms of ongoing court proceedings. But as I say, the court system remains open for business. We're seeing our matters continue and new matters being issued by the court in the usual course of what we'd expect to receive. So if you've got any specific questions or queries or matters that are either ongoing or that you're thinking of moving forward in terms of the issue proceedings, anyone in the team at Else Solicitors be more than happy to assist. So please feel free to give us a call and we can talk through the specific circumstances and how the new rules or the court procedure will apply specifically to you. Thank you.